All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're right in the thick of it, World War II,
Oh, yeah.
1943 to be exact.
Year.
We've got this super detailed timeline for this year,
Okay.
and let me tell you,
Yeah.
you wouldn't believe how much went down in just 12 months.
I bet.
We're talking huge battles, shifting alliances. The human cost is just, well,
Staggering.
staggering.
Yeah. 1943, I mean, people think of it as this turning point.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the war had already been going on for years at that point.
Oh, absolutely.
The Allies, they were gaining some ground,
Yeah.
but victory.
Right.
Nobody knew if that was even going to happen.
Yeah, it was really up in the air.
Really precarious time.
Yeah, and this timeline,
Yeah.
it covers everything.
Oh, wow.
You've got Europe, North Africa, the Pacific.
A world war?
It's like a whirlwind, of global conflict. I mean,
Yeah.
where do we even begin with this?
Well, we could, how about we start with the Casablanca Conference,
Okay.
January 1943.
Right.
It's not every day you see Churchill and Roosevelt meeting in Morocco.
Yeah, of our place is Morocco.
Right.
Yeah.
This meeting, this was key for the Allied strategy going forward.
Okay.
And one of the big things that came out of it was this decision to demand unconditional surrender.
Unconditional surrender.
From the Axis powers.
Now, for anyone who maybe isn't familiar with that term,
Right.
unconditional surrender, I mean, is what it sounds like.
Exactly.
No negotiating peace.
Nope.
No compromise.
Nothing like that.
Total victory or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's bold move. I mean, what were the implications of that?
Well, I mean, for the Allies, it
Yeah.
was a rallying cry, right?
Right.
This unifying factor
Yeah.
solidified their determination to see this through to the very end.
Wow.
But then for the Axis powers,
Oh, yeah.
talk about pressure. Yeah.
It meant fighting with their, backs against the wall,
Oh, yeah.
knowing that any hope of negotiation
Right.
was just off the table.
Gone. Completely gone.
So, yeah,
Wow.
it probably fueled their resistance,
Yeah.
made the fighting even more brutal.
It really makes you wonder, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did that demand for unconditional surrender?
Yeah.
Did that actually make the war last longer?
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah. Did it just make the fighting even more desperate?
Costly.
And more costly.
In terms of human life.
Yeah.
It's a complex question.
It really is.
There's no easy answers.
But while we're talking turning points,
Mm-hmm.
we can't forget about Stalingrad,
Oh, no.
February 43.
Huge,
Yeah.
catastrophic defeat for the Germans.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
not just militarily,
Yeah.
but psychologically too, right?
Absolutely.
It just shattered this myth of German invincibility
Wow.
and the sheer scale of the losses.
Yeah. It's just devastating for morale back home.
Now, the source material actually mentions this really interesting detail
Oh.
about the surrender.
Yeah.
Apparently, Hitler promoted the German commander, Friedrich Paulus,
Right.
to field marshal
Oh.
on the day he surrendered.
On the day he surrendered. That's bizarre.
It is, right?
No German field marshal had ever been captured before.
Right.
Some historians, they think Hitler promoted him,
Yeah.
hoping that Paulus would choose to die fighting
Wow.
rather than, you know,
He surrendered.
be taken prisoner.
Yeah.
But
But who knows
who knows?
what was going on in Hitler's mind at that point?
Yeah.
Imagine, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a German citizen.
Yeah.
You hear the news. A field marshal has surrendered.
Yeah.
You've been told your army's unbeatable.
Invincible.
And now your leaders are being captured.
Oh, man.
I mean, what does that do to your faith in the war effort?
Your faith in your leaders.
In your leaders, yeah.
I can't imagine.
It's got to be a blow. Right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's when the cracks in the Nazi facade
Yeah.
really start to show.
It's the beginning of the end, almost.
Yeah, and those cracks,
Mm-hmm.
they just get wider as 1943 goes on,
Right.
just a few months later.
Yeah.
The Allies, they get this huge victory in North Africa.
Right.
Over 250,000 Axis troops captured.
That's incredible.
It's massive.
Yeah.
It freed up Allied resources
Yeah.
and allowed them to,
Yeah.
really shift their focus to the next phase.
In Europe.
In Europe.
But before we get to that,
Mm-hmm.
there's another event we need to talk about. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising.
Oh, yeah.
It happened around the same time.
Right. A remarkable event.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Really heartbreaking.
Thousands of Jewish residents in the Warsaw Ghetto
Yeah.
facing deportation,
Right.
almost certain death.
Mhm.
They rose up against the Nazis. Desperate bid for survival.
This wasn't just like
Yeah.
a symbolic thing, you know?
No.
These people, they fought back
They did.
with incredible courage.
So much determination.
Determination.
Yeah, holding out against the Nazis for weeks.
Wow.
They knew the odds were stacked against them,
Oh, yeah.
but they chose to fight for their
Yeah.
dignity, for their right to exist.
It's incredible.
It really is.
The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising.
Yeah.
Testament to the human
Resilience
resilience.
in the face of just unimaginable horror.
Yeah, it makes you think about the broader context of the war.
Mm-hmm.
All the horrors that were happening beyond the battlefields.
Right, right.
This was just one
yeah.
act of resistance
Many.
against Nazi oppression.
Absolutely.
But it stands out
Yeah.
as such a powerful symbol of defiance.
It really does. And while this tragedy's unfolding
Yeah.
in Eastern Europe, there were also moments of
Yeah.
incredible daring, innovation on other fronts.
Okay.
You've got the Dam Buster raids.
Yeah, the Dam Buster race.
May of 43.
Yeah.
Truly audacious operation carried out by the RAF.
Yeah, they used those specially modified bombs
Right.
designed to skip across water
Yeah.
and breach German dams.
It was risky.
Oh, incredibly risky.
Required incredible skill.
Yeah.
Precision.
And it had a huge impact on the German war effort, too.
Oh, yeah.
It disrupted industrial production, undermined their ability to wage war.
For sure.
I mean, it's a testament to the ingenuity and bravery of the Allied forces,
Absolutely.
their willingness to push the boundaries
Yeah.
to achieve their goals.
Yeah, amazing.
But even with all these victories, 1943 was far from over.
Right.
Just as the Allies are gaining momentum,
Yeah.
this really dramatic event unfolds. Mussolini's arrest,
Wow.
July 1943.
By that point,
Yeah.
Italy's war effort, I mean, it was falling apart. They'd suffered heavy losses. Morale was just plummeting.
Yeah.
The Allied invasion of Sicily had just begun. It was just the perfect storm
Yeah.
that led to his downfall.
Wow.
Even his own people had turned against him.
I mean, it's a stunning turn of events, right?
Oh, yeah.
Italy,
Yeah.
a key member of the Axis powers,
I know.
is now in turmoil.
Wow.
And while this might seem
Yeah.
like a significant blow to the Axis,
Right.
it's about to get a whole lot more complicated.
Oh, how so? Well, that's where we'll pick up in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We're going to explore the aftermath of Italy's surrender.
Right.
The brutal fighting that continued on Italian soil and the Allied island hopping campaign in the Pacific.
Gotcha.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere.
I'm not going anywhere.
So before we went to
Yeah.
we were talking about Mussolini and Italy's surrender. You'd think, right?
That'd be it for the Axis.
You'd think so.
But it was a lot more complicated.
It really was. Yeah, Italy's surrender didn't
Yeah.
exactly mean immediate peace.
Right.
You still had the Germans there
In Italy.
in Italy.
Yeah.
And they were determined to hold on to as much territory as they could.
Wow.
This led to some really, really difficult situations.
Yeah, like what happened with that, the Acqui Division?
Oh, the Acqui Division, yeah.
For those who might not know, that was an Italian army unit.
Right.
They were stationed on this Greek island,
Cephalonia. Yeah.
when Italy surrendered.
Wow.
Talk about bad timing.
Yeah, caught right in the middle
Yeah.
of this whole chaotic transition.
Right, and the Germans basically saw them as traitors.
Oh, yeah. They did not take it well. They responded brutally. Yeah, thousands of Italian soldiers
Wow.
massacred by their former allies.
It's just a
It's hard to even fathom.
really stark reminder, right? about the brutal reality of war and how quickly
Yeah.
those alliances can just unravel.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And things change.
Well, the Acqui Division massacre.
Yeah.
Just one example
One of many.
of the consequences of Italy's surrender.
And while all of this was happening in Europe,
Yeah.
the war in the Pacific, I mean,
Right. Raging on.
it was raging on.
The Allies were doing that whole island hopping campaign. Right?
Yeah, trying to push the Japanese back inch by inch.
Inch by inch, yeah.
And it was not easy.
Oh, I bet not.
The Japanese they were tenacious.
Yeah.
I mean, incredibly so.
Yeah.
They often fought to the death.
Wow.
Even when, the odds were totally stacked against them.
Wow.
Yeah, the source material highlights the Battle of Tarawa.
Oh, yeah.
This
Tiny island?
tiny island, the Gilbert Islands, as just a brutal example
Yeah.
of this kind of fighting.
So the Battle of Tarawa,
Yeah.
this was a real wake-up call
Oh, yeah.
for the Americans.
It was.
They had the firepower, but they faced fierce resistance
Oh,
from
yeah.
the Japanese, and it resulted in heavy casualties.
It was a brutal reminder
Yeah.
of the challenges they faced.
In the Pacific.
Yeah, I mean, the ferocity of the fighting there at Tarawa,
Yeah.
it foreshadowed,
Yeah.
the kinds of battles the Allies would face.
As they got closer and closer.
Closer to the Japanese mainland.
Yeah.
Think about Iwo Jima,
Right.
Okinawa,
Grueling battles.
battles where the human cost was
Devastating.
just
Devastating.
It's easy to get caught up in the big picture of war.
Right.
All the strategies.
The movements of armies.
The movements, yeah.
Yeah.
But it comes down to these battles,
Each battle.
on these islands.
Yeah.
They represent,
Yeah.
lives lost.
Eyes lost.
Families torn apart.
It's a level of suffering that's just
It's hard to
really hard to comprehend.
comprehend. Yeah.
And in the midst of all this fighting,
Yeah.
back in Europe,
Yeah.
you've got the big three,
Right.
Roosevelt, Churchill, Stalin.
Mm-hmm.
They finally meet face to face
Wow.
at the Tehran Conference.
Tehran Conference. That was
November 1943.
historic
meeting.
Yeah.
The first time these three leaders came together.
to talk about the future of the war.
Exactly.
So what came out of that conference?
Well, it was at Tehran
yeah.
that they solidified plans for the Allied invasion of France.
Right. Operation Overlords.
Operation Overlord, what we know today
yeah.
as D-Day.
Yeah.
That decision,
Huge.
changed the course of the war.
Wow.
But it was still many months away.
So you've got these major developments
Yeah.
happening in both Europe and the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
Allies are making progress.
Yeah.
But the fighting is
Nowhere near over. Not over. And the cost just keeps rising.
And what's so striking is
Yeah.
how the events of 1943
Mm-hmm.
really highlight this complex interplay
Yeah.
between the military strategy,
Right.
the political maneuvering, and the human cost
The human cost.
of war. It's just this year of
Yeah.
triumphs and tragedies, hope
Yep.
and despair.
Yeah, and the source material actually mentions this event.
Oh,
That really underscores this whole complexity.
okay.
The Katyn Massacre.
Right.
Now, this was the mass execution of Polish prisoners of war
Mm-hmm.
by the Soviet secret police.
Back in 1940.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For years, the massacre was blamed on the Nazis.
It was, yeah.
And it wasn't until the 1990s
Wow.
that the Soviets finally admitted responsibility.
It's a chilling reminder that the truth
Yeah.
can often be a casualty of war.
It really is.
It's a stark example of
Yeah.
how propaganda,
Mm-hmm.
misinformation can be used to manipulate public opinion,
Wow.
and how even decades later,
Yeah.
uncovering the full truth
Can be
can be really
difficult.
painful.
It also raises the question of
Yeah.
accountability.
Accountability, yeah.
Who's responsible for the atrocities?
Right.
How do we make sure those responsible are held to account?
Yeah. Tough questions.
Really tough question.
I mean, historians, legal scholars,
Yeah.
they still debate this. There are
Uh-huh.
no easy answer.
No easy answers.
But it's crucial that we acknowledge this.
This complexity.
The complexity of war,
Yeah.
the moral dilemmas,
Right.
the long-lasting consequences.
Even as
Yeah.
we're celebrating the acts of bravery,
It's a sacrifice.
sacrifices. Yeah.
It's a delicate balance.
It is.
Yeah.
Recognizing the heroism,
Mm-hmm.
but also acknowledging the darker aspects
Absolutely.
of
Yes.
war.
And as we delve deeper into 1943, we see this duality
Yeah.
play out over and over again
Incredible courage.
alongside unimaginable brutality,
Strategic brilliance.
entwined with devastating losses.
It's a year that challenges us
Yeah.
to confront the full spectrum
The full spectrum, yeah.
of the human experience during wartime.
And it's a year that reminds us that
Right.
history isn't just,
Yeah.
a collection of facts and dates.
Right.
It's a tapestry
Mm.
of stories, each with its own
its own complexities, nuances.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to continue to explore and learn from.
Explore, yeah.
Even as they challenge our understanding of the past.
For sure.
And on that note, let's move on to the final part.
Okay.
Of our deep dive into 1943.
Sounds good.
Wow. So we've covered a lot in this deep dive into 1943.
We have.
From the strategies, the conferences, all those brutal battles.
Yeah, across multiple continents.
What really stands out to you as we're, kind of coming to the end of this journey through this year?
I think what gets me is how 1943 is this turning point.
Yeah.
But not a clean one. Right. It's a year where things are shifting towards the Allies.
Right.
But
it's not over yet.
Victory is not a sure thing.
Right.
There's this sense of progress, but also uncertainty.
Yeah, like hope, but also
this reality.
That's grim reality.
Of the conflict continuing.
And that's what makes studying this period so interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not this simple story of good versus evil.
Right.
Or an inevitable triumph.
It's messy.
It's messy, it's complex.
It's this tapestry woven from individual stories of bravery.
Yeah.
Sacrifice,
resilience.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about the big battles, the politics.
But
it's really the human element.
It is, the human element that sticks with you.
That resonates.
Yeah, the stories of the soldiers, the civilians.
Right.
People just caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
The individuals who resisted.
However they could,
yeah.
Those are the stories that bring history to life.
Right. They do.
And remind us that war has this
human cost.
It's human cost,
You're absolutely right. It's so easy to get
lost in the big picture,
the grand narratives,
the strategies, but it's those personal accounts.
The personal accounts
can really help us understand the impact.
They help us connect on a human level.
And that's something we should never forget.
Never.
Like think about the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising.
Yeah. Powerful example.
It'd be easy to just see it as this tragic footnote in the Holocaust.
Well, when you hear those stories of the people who fought back, you see their courage, you see their determination
to resist.
Yeah, even when the odds were just impossible.
It makes you think about resistance differently, right?
It does.
About resilience.
About the human spirit.
Yeah, the human spirit.
And how much it can endure.
Even in the darkest times.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's this reminder that history is made up of all these
countless individual stories.
Yeah.
Each one
so important.
So important.
Worthy of remembrance.
Absolutely.
And as we wrap up our deep dive into 1943, I hope it sparked something in you to learn more.
To keep digging.
To delve deeper into these stories, to keep exploring this pivotal year in World War II.
It was pivotal.
What will you uncover?
Yeah. What stories will you find?
What insights will you gain?
Keep diving.
Keep learning.
Keep questioning.
That's what makes history so fascinating.
Absolutely.